This program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
I thought perhaps the end of days was upon us, but it turned out it was just a disoriented old lady in a champagne-colored Toyota Avalon, crashing into my world like DMB circa 1996.
Oh my goodness, hello! So it looks like my system might be working for the moment. It turns out the problem that has been preventing me from live streaming and that caused all those problems last time is this Chinese-made device.
I was curious as to your commercial that you have on TV. I think it's saying the world isn't flat. I totally took offense to that.
I haven't changed. I'm still a flat.
There is no hope for us, and I'm sorry. I've never been one to give that type of a message or try to spread that. Maybe I'll get over it, guys. But I just went through torment and hell, and it's giving me nightmares. There's no one to help us. Everyone's covering it up, and I just can't take it anymore, guys. I cannot take the episodes anymore.
David 136, suspect is stolen my vehicle.
Right there. There she is.
Come here now! Kill the ground!
Now we do got on a stolen vehicle for sure. Alright, stand up. Anybody got a cage? She's wiry.
Apparently so.
His car is right there. You just stole a police car.
I'm going to jail.
You stole a police car in front of 3 police officers. I've seen some stupid stuff, but my gosh. And you hit a car with it?
You guys told me that I was going to jail over something that I did not do.
You just stole a police car.
Now I'm going to jail for something I did.
Well, there we go.
I do take accountability for my actions.
Did you steal a police car?
You know what?
Did you?
Give me an attorney.
Answer the question.
Give me an attorney. How about
We saw
that?
you do it.
No, you didn't see me do it.
I did.
He did.
I saw their bodies tossed skyward, like ragdolls thrown into the air by the late great Andre the Giant. I don't know. They appeared to be weightless, hitting zero-G like the fearless crew of a forgotten Apollo mission, whose only objective was to obtain a beef and cheddar classic and return home to Kathleen Quinlan safe before sundown. I don't know.
Where is your God now? A little bit of a hiccup. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Theory of a Blind Man. That's right. Got a special show for y'all. Jason's going live on the Will2Win. We're going to watch a little bit of that. Cover a little bit of a Bill Gates prediction that I found from 4 years ago. We'll watch that. And the main story is a 3D printer gives sight to a blind woman. So we'll talk about that as well. And as soon as Jason goes live, we're going to hit up that stream and check out what he has to say for a little bit. So let's see if I can find his channel and tune in, actually. Come on. What the hell? Try that again. Alrighty, he is live. So let's go ahead and tune in to him. And I'm actually share audio 264 land live button. Okay, here we go.
And covering some real big needs on this football team.
Big time. And, it really started yesterday. Nick Kwiatkowski from the Bears, he's the type of guy that if you're a Raider fan, you're going to love him. When I mean love him, you're going to be like, that's the type of guy we've needed for a long time. He's a dirty work. When he rushes, he doesn't have to get sacks. He's going to like bull rush a tackle or a guard or even a fullback, drive him back to the quarterback and cause disruption. That's what you're getting out of him. He's a guy that could cover. He's a guy that can kind of do it all. He's like a jack of all trades, master of none. So he's just basically just a throwback linebacker that you need to have on a team. He's going to be your tough guy. Yeah. And then with Marcus Mariota, there is the guy that's going to come in and back up and push Derek Carr a little bit.
That's something we talked about Friday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we talked about it with Squeeze when he was on. He's a guy that when or if Derek Carr goes down, let's just say hopefully he doesn't. But he's a guy that's going to push him in practice. He's a guy that's going to, if Carr goes down, he's a guy that can come in and play right away and do some things with his legs.
Let me know if you guys can hear this okay, because it sounds great in my headphones.
And I think he needed a fresh start. The same way you see with Ryan Tannehill. The same way, there's a few other quarterbacks that kind of, Derek Carr could be considered in that same group. In all honesty, he could be a guy that many people could consider needing a fresh start somewhere should things go awry this season. Absolutely. To get his career back on track. So he's a guy that did that. And then this morning, Corey Littleton, that was one that they were working on really hard last night. There were a bunch of other teams that were in play. Green Bay was, but they're probably the next team that had the highest interest in him. But the Raiders could just pay more. And that played a major role in what Littleton was thinking. He's a guy that can cover, can drop back. He really is an athletic linebacker that can go side to side and really do something that the Raiders haven't been able to do at the linebacker position in a number of years. And to get him for 3 years, $35.25 million with $22 million guaranteed, that's less than what was expected. It comes out to like $11 million a year or something like that.
Just under $12 million a year. I was blown away by that number, by the way. I was like, wow.
somebody tweeted me last night. I'm not going to retweet it, but someone was like, what is he looking for? 15, an average of 15 million a year. I said, give or take a few million. Yeah. I was told it was going to be about, 17 to even 18 million at the start of free agency to bring someone like that in. But what ends up happening is you get them at a much, much, more affordable rate. And now you have a guy that can really come in and do some different things that you really, really need. So for me, that was a huge signing. He was arguably the best linebacker available. And he's a guy that you can come in and get at that price. Then they turn around and get a guy that we talked about. I talked about at Linked on Friday. I've wrote about him.
You've been talking about him for a while lately.
Yeah. Malik Collins from the Cowboys. He's a guy there's genuine interest. Again, I was told this prior to the combine, and then at the combine, my people down there on the ground were like, Joe, like this is real. He wants, not only does he want to play for Marinelli, the Raiders are a great fit. You can play him next to Hurst.
Now, so you guys know this Joe guy that Jason's talking to is like Jason's inside man. Like he gets the scoop from this dude. He's got a lot of inside connections within the NFL. So, and I believe college, but I'm not quite sure about that.
And the interesting stat is I believe he had 20 quarterback pressures last year or something like that. That would have led the team. That would have led the Raiders in quarterback pressures, and he's doing it from a defensive tackle position, which for me was a just as big as need as a linebacker was, because if you can create pressure up front with your big guys, that allows your secondary to cover
your safeties, your safety and linebacker blitz, bro. They can they can cover those lanes better.
Welcome,
exactly.
Amy.
And you don't know where the pressure's coming from if you're a quarterback, which is big because again, if you got to have people at your feet.
Yeah, I got it, Amy. Thank you. I have
that's big. And then
pulled up right now.
Jason Witten signing 1 year for $4.75 million. I see Raider Nation is a little bit, why do we sign him? I don't like it, or some people liked it. Look,
I get it.
Oh, happy St. Patty's Day, by the way. You like my new beanie? Like this very, very comfortable beanie? Yeah, looks good, don't it?
Get it. Trust me. We'll get. When you want to get into it, we get into it right now. But I get it, man. This is a good pickup.
Well, I agree. In fact, I think what he brings is a big red zone target, which again they were almost dead last in the red zone. Yep. He's a guy that knows what it takes to be on a winning team. He's been through the rigors of the NFL. He's been on both sides. Where a few years ago, when the Cowboys had the best record in the NFL, when they lost in Lambeau Field, when Dez didn't catch, but he caught, but he didn't catch the ball game, that team had the best record in the NFL. And when you look at it, it was one of those like, I can't believe that they let him walk. I thought he'd be a Cowboy for life. But he brings in a gravitas that they haven't had, as if Brady would have been there, except Brady has rings, but he knows he's a professional. And to have a guy to come in and to Las Vegas where people are worried about what's going on, if they're going to be out partying, he's a guy like, no, he'll have everything under control, and he's not going to start. Like the Raiders have a top 5 tight end in Waller. He's not going to start over Waller. It means nothing to Waller other than he's got a backup, and this also means Foster Moreau has a little more time to make sure he's 100% healthy.
And not only that, Witten is actually going to get a lot of playing time, even not as listed as a starter, because you got to remember, and this is the thing I want to throw out there when it comes to signing Jason Witten, we are a 2 tight end team. We like running tight ends. Mayock said it himself. We need to get better in the red zone. This guy just made us better in the red zone. He likes to run 2 tight ends. They're going to load 7 in the box.
In case you're just tuning in, you're wondering what we are watching. We are watching my brother, Independently Blind, a.k.a. Will2Win, Mr. Jason Smith, on his Raider channel. So we're just showing a little bit of love, a little bit of support. So if you're into sports, and more specifically the Raiders, head over to his channel, the Will2Win. Just search the Will2Win Raiders Jason Smith, and you'll find the channel. I don't have the link handy. I'll get it and post it in the chat for you guys, though, here shortly.
Box. You don't know if it's going to be Waller now or Witten coming out on the out pattern to get that ball. So it frees up all of it. We said get car weapons. This frees up everybody. And I guarantee you we're going to get that receiver one way or another. It's going to be in the draft. You're going to get some speed on the outside. You got Williams, you got Renfro, you got Waller. Now you add Witten to the mix. This is lining up to be good, man. Witten can block too. He's just not a pass catcher. So this was an outstanding pickup. And you're right. Foster Moreau needs some more time to heal. This is the backup plan. We're solid there. We're solid.
but you're not getting Jason Witten from 7 years ago.
No, you're not. You don't need him, though.
Expectations.
Yeah, you don't need him, though. You don't need that 7-year Jason Witten, right? You need a guy that knows how to get open. Short yardage guy. You're not looking for him to go deep.
Welcome, Shane.
He caught 63 balls last year, I think, which would have led the Raiders. Or it's behind Waller, but it was more than Tyrell Williams, and he had 2 touchdowns to 4 from Tyrell Williams, and you're getting them at $4.75 million for 1 year.
And you still average 8.4 yards a catch, dude. So that's still really good numbers too.
Yeah, he's a first down machine. He just picks up first down after first down. I like the Witten signing. The next signing, they stayed in Dallas and got Jeff Heath for 2 years at $8 million. He's a safety. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a big Jeff Heath guy. I haven't been for a number of reasons, and it's all on the field. I don't know him off the field. Now that may change once I get to meet him when the season starts and I start talking with him. In part because to me, he's Billy Bates with the Cowboys in the 90s. He was that special teams guy that they tried to make a safety because I'm gonna go hard. He's Rudy out there at the safety position.
Yeah,
and that's cool. But Demarius Randall's still out there. I still think they're in on Demarius. He's more of a playmaking safety. He's a guy at the free that will actually really complement Jonathan Abram really well. But here's the thing. For what Heath is getting paid, 2 years at $8 million, not only are you getting a guy that's going to play special teams and be probably your best special teams player as a gunner.
That's why they got him.
You're also getting a guy that, let's say you do sign Demarius Randall, or let's say you go bring in, I don't know, maybe Eric Berry for a year, or let's say you go and you maybe trade a 3rd round pick to the Vikings for Anthony Harris because they're looking to move him. They're talking to Cleveland for a 3rd round pick right now. Let's say you to pull a deal like that. You have depth at that position, which again, if somebody goes down, like when Cujo went down last year,
there's link to his channel,
or when Abram went down, you have Eric Harris, and then you have
Live Night.
A bunch of guys that you sign as free agents that you stick.
Yep.
So I mean, you're creating depth.
Depth piece, special teams piece. It's a value pick right there.
Yeah, and I like it though because he's another glue guy, which is what you need. And then they went and got Carl Nassib of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A lot of people remember him from Hard Knocks when he was with the Cleveland Browns. 3 years, $25 million, $17 million guaranteed for the defensive end. That one kind of made me raise my eyebrows a little bit. That's a lot of money for him. But he's also a guy that can get to the quarterback, and that's exactly what they need.
Exactly what they got him for, too. Very specific of what they went and got, right? Arden Key hasn't been producing on that side. You come and bring a guy like Nassib in, push Arden Key, rotational piece. You got Max Crosby, Cleveland Farrell now with Malik Collins, can be officially outside on the other side, contain the run. I think it was very specific. I think they're really diagnosing this right and putting pieces in that are not necessarily going to be long-term done deal. But Jameis Winston's going to be available, and the rumor is that Cam Newton headed to San Diego. Is that what you're hearing?
No, Cam Newton to the Chargers. That's in play. Look, I'll pull back the curtain and say a few things. I'm drafting a wide receiver. Larry Fitzgerald's in the final probably year or two of his career. They need wide receivers.
Yeah.
Bottom line. Okay, let's be real. So I wouldn't put past Arizona to do that. As far as Cam Newton, I think teams to watch closely are actually going to be the Washington Redskins. And the reason why I say the Redskins, his former head coach is there. His former head coach brought in the guy that's going to be running the player personnel. So Ron Rivera has a lot more say with player personnel. I also believe, I know Cam Newton is from the Virginia area. So now you got a guy that could play in front of his family and his friends. I think the Chargers are an ideal fit as well with him, with Keenan Allen, a few other, everybody else they have in and around that offense. That's another really good fit. I don't think he'll get traded there. If he ends up in LA with the Chargers, I think it's because they cut him because it's gonna be the same amount. It's gonna be a $2 million hit either way it goes. I think Chicago could be a good fit, but at the same time with Chicago, who picked up Robert Quinn, and they got Mack and Quinn, which I'm more impressed with Quinn than I am Mack, but that's a whole nother story.
Right.
Seems to be a lot of glitching.
I think you're gonna see Cam have some suitors, but I do think the Chargers make the most sense. I don't think, I know there was like the talk early,
Yeah,
like
that's crazy.
early
Brady
on
going to
yesterday
Tampa Bay,
about
for
Jameis
sure.
Winston coming to the Raiders.
But I guess
I really didn't think that
you
was
paid
the
for it,
case
you get
because
paid for
Mayock
it.
wasn't a Winston fan
So
coming
it
out.
makes sense that Mariota is there. Totally.
No, it makes no sense now. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that's going on, but if Cam does go to the Chargers, that affects the Raiders in some way because now you have Mahomes, who's a passer, and Cam Newton's not a passer. He's more of a guy that can run the ball.
Right.
I would make him beat me with his arm rather
He's
than
inconsistent. Yep. Sometimes he's hot, sometimes he's not.
Exactly. And then in Denver, you Drew Lock's kind of a gunslinger, kind of, sort of, but
I haven't seen enough of him to figure him out just yet, but he could sling it. Yeah.
exactly. So now you got your defense has to be built around winning your division first and foremost.
Absolutely.
Like the great coaches want to go 3-1 in their division every year, 4-0, 3-1. That's where they want to finish. 2-2 really doesn't. You have to win a lot of the games, obviously outside the division, but 3-1, you figure you can get 6 wins throughout the year. You're probably going to be a playoff team. The AFC got a lot worse too today. I mean, let's be real.
They took a hit.
The king. A lot of teams feel the king is dead. They smell blood in the water with Brady going to Tampa Bay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with Kansas City. Yeah, you do have Mahomes, and they are the defending Super Bowl champions. But at the same time, you look at what Buffalo did by adding Stephon Diggs to that team, and they still have like 7 picks. I mean, crazy amount of draft picks that they still have. So they basically gave up a first rounder for Diggs because all the other picks are kind of towards the back end of those rounds.
Right.
You look. I kind of like what Jacksonville did. I love what Miami is doing. To be honest with you, to be point blank,
They're going to work.
Byron Jones. The Raiders offered more money. I'm gonna be real. They offered a little bit more, but the way it was framed in the contract, or they wanted to frame it, was it be spread out more for the duration of the contract, where Miami's just more upfront money, and he wanted to get paid right away. So that's kind of how he ended up there, even though the Raiders offered more money, the same way the Redskins offered $20 million more to Amari Cooper than the Cowboys, but he wanted to play in Dallas and not Washington.
So that's the one thing that I see that's missing from this list thus far is that other cornerback, maybe even a depth piece there. We talked earlier about Chris Harris. What are you hearing about Darius Slay? Is he still out on the trade block, and what are they asking for someone like him, or who else is out there that the Raiders could grab and really solidify that other side?
Chris Harris is the guy to keep an eye on, and that if that happens, it could happen today or tomorrow. They're in pretty big. They're in pretty deep with him, the same way they are with Demarius Randall. They were really trying to get Randall done yesterday. Detroit came in, so I think they're kind of bidding with Detroit for Randall right now. Slay would be interesting, and because someone had tweeted me, well, Harris is more of a zone corner, and they want to run more man. Do they? I mean, and to be real, Slay's more of a zone corner than Chris Harris. That's predominantly what he plays. And the knock on him coming out of Mississippi State was he's not a great man corner. So for me, I look at it as if you can get either one of those, I think you'd have to
got me
trade
on
for
that one,
Slay,
Shane.
and that may be something.
Again, I'm not a big
that's
football
more
follower,
towards the draft or on draft day,
but
because you got
Jason's got
to
good
look at
delivery,
how's this draft
so
falling?
I enjoy watching.
Can I get a corner? Let's say Okuda's there at 12 from Ohio State.
You guys hear the helicopters?
I mean, you pass up on him
all day flying.
You know what?
Overhead.
It's hard to say. The idea is to take the best player available, so you want to say you go for that, right? But wide receiver is such a big need, and I don't know if the Raiders could overlook that though, bro, because that's hard talent that it's hard to find.
Exactly, and that's my point. So you have to find the right fit, and I would say for me personally, Harris is a better fit for a number of reasons, but he knows the division already. He knows how to play in Denver. He knows how to play in Kansas City, obviously in LA. He knows how the division works, and he knows kind of how it wasn't, or how it's how the division maneuvers, and how the quarterbacks maneuver. So I like him a little bit more than Slay per se, but at the same time, I would definitely. There's other guys that are out there. Like I could see a guy like Josh Jackson, who was drafted in the second round by Green Bay a couple years ago.
Okay, what we're gonna do
they
now?
try to do different things with him instead of put him outside on a boundary.
Switch up the
as a
stream
boundary corner. He's the guy that I would keep an eye on because I think they would like to move on from him because
so the link is in
they have Kenny King. Jair Alexander is arguably the best corner under the age of 25 in the NFL.
Or if you just want to support Jason,
they have their safe. So I can see that being a potential fit. Josh Jackson. I know Mayock liked him a lot coming out too. He had him as like there's number 1 or 2 corner coming out that year.
Alrighty, I got this pulled up. Let me share it so you guys can see it, of course.
Where is your God now?
Now this is kind of telling. And again, this is from a speech that Bill Gates gave at TED Talks 4 years ago. Remember, 4 years ago. And of course, this is under Fair Use Act to provide commentary and my thoughts on this particular issue.
When I was a kid, the disaster we worried about most was a nuclear war. That's why we had a barrel like this down in our basement filled with cans of food and water. When the nuclear attack came, we were supposed to go downstairs, hunker down, and eat out of that barrel. Today, the greatest risk of global catastrophe doesn't look like this. Instead, it looks like this. If anything kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war. Not missiles, but microbes. Now, part of the reason for this is that we've invested a huge amount in nuclear deterrence, but we've actually invested very little in a system to stop an epidemic. We're not ready for the next epidemic. Let's look at Ebola. I'm sure all of you read about it in the newspaper. Lots of tough challenges. I followed it carefully through the case analysis tools we use to track polio eradication. And as you look at what went on, the problem wasn't that there was a system that didn't work well enough. The problem was that we didn't have a system at all. In fact, there are some pretty obvious key missing pieces. We didn't have a group of epidemiologists ready to go who would have gone, seen what the disease was, see how far it had spread. The case reports came in on paper. It was very delayed before they were put online, and they were extremely inaccurate. We didn't have a medical team ready to go. We didn't have a way of preparing people. Now, Médecins Sans Frontières did a great job orchestrating volunteers, but even so, we were far slower than we should have been getting the thousands of workers into these countries. And a large epidemic would require us to have hundreds of thousands of workers.
That's just mind-boggling. When the number of infected gets really, really, really high, you got to have the personnel to be able to deal with it.
There was no one there to look at treatment approaches, no one to look at the diagnostics, no one to figure out what tools should be used. As an example, we could have taken the blood of survivors, processed it, and put that plasma back in people to protect them. But that was never tried. So there was a lot that was missing, and these things are really a global failure. The WHO is funded to monitor epidemics, but not to do these things I talked about. Now, in the movies, it's quite different. There's a group of handsome epidemiologists ready to go. They move in, they save the day, but that's just pure Hollywood. The failure to prepare could allow the next epidemic to be dramatically more devastating than Ebola. Let's look at the progression.
Which I don't know if you guys remember or not. The Ebola thing kind of died out. You know, after maybe a month or two, it just kind of disappeared. It was really weird. And here we are with this one, about a month and a half, 2 months in, at least here on U.S. soil, and it's wreaking havoc on everyday life for everyone.
Of Ebola over this year. About 10,000 people died, and nearly all were in the 3 West African countries. There's 3 reasons why it didn't spread more. The first is there was a lot of heroic work by the health workers. They found the people and they prevented more infections. The second is the nature of the virus. Ebola does not spread through the air. And by the time you're contagious, most people are so sick that they're bedridden.
Whereas this one can be transmitted by air. It's the breathing virus.
Third, it didn't get into many urban areas, and that was just luck. If it had gotten into a lot more urban areas, the case numbers would have been much larger. So next time, we might not be so lucky.
Now.
You can have a virus where people feel well enough while they're infectious that they get on a plane or they go to a market. The source of the virus could be a natural epidemic like Ebola, or it could be bioterrorism. And so there are things that would literally plane or they go to a market.
Whoops.
The source of the virus could be a natural epidemic like Ebola, or it could be bioterrorism. And so there are things that would literally make things 1,000 times worse. In fact, let's look.
Oh gosh, even Bill Gates is saying literally.
At a model of a virus spread through the air like the Spanish flu back in 1918. So here's what would happen. It would spread throughout the world very, very quickly.
Which it has done. It's damn near everywhere.
And you can see there's over 30 million people die from that epidemic.
And they estimate 10 million or more from this one.
So this is a serious problem. We should be concerned.
They being CDC, analysts, that sort of thing.
But in fact, we can build a really good response system.
Which we haven't.
We have the benefits of all the science and technology that we talk about here.
We haven't
We've
used.
got cell phones to get information from the public and get.
That's probably been the biggest thing that has helped stop more people from getting infected right away.
Get information out to them. We have satellite maps.
Although I did mention today on Mr. Frosty's channel, if you guys haven't done so, go subscribe to that channel. We have a lot of fun over there. We did the doomsday spread tonight, so if you guys see that, then great. But anyway, I talked a little bit about how they took a study of, I think, 8 people that were infected with this virus, and after they were cleared from it and healed or whatever, cured or healthy, they put them with newly infected people, and the initial 8 people did not recontract the virus. So that's interesting.
Where we can see where people are and where they're moving. We have advances in biology that should dramatically change the turnaround time to look at a pathogen and be able to make drugs and vaccines that fit for that pathogen. So we can have tools, but those tools need to be put into an overall global health system, and we need preparedness.
Oh, is my screen on?
The best lessons, I think, on how to get prepared are, again, what we do
Okay,
for
good.
war. For soldiers, we have full-time waiting to go. We have reserves that can scale us up to large numbers. NATO has a mobile unit that can deploy very rapidly. NATO does a lot of war games to check, are people well-trained? Do they understand about fuel and logistics and the same radio frequencies? So they are absolutely ready to go. So those are the
Oh,
kinds
excellent,
of things
Standing. Thank
we
you.
need to deal with an epidemic. What are the key pieces? First is we need strong.
And I think you were there. I don't know if you had left or not during Frosty's stream. And actually, Standing, if you could put the link to his channel in the chat, that'd be awesome. But we were talking about military being deployed on our soil. I mean, National Guard's already here at some places, so it's only a matter of time, I think.
Health systems in poor countries. That's where mothers can give birth safely, kids can get all their vaccines, but also where we'll see
Oh, wait, you know what? I've
the
got
outbreaks
his
very early on.
email.
We need a medical reserve corps. Lots of people who've got the training and background who are ready to go with the expertise. And then we need to pair those medical people with the military, taking advantage of the military's ability to move fast, do logistics, and secure areas. We need to do simulations, germ games, not war games, so that we see where the holes are. The last time a germ game was done in the United States was back in 2001, and it didn't go so well.
Mr. Frosty.
So far, the score is germs 1, people 0. Finally, we need lots of advanced R&D in areas of vaccines and diagnostics. There are some big breakthroughs, like the adeno-associated virus, that could work very, very quickly. Now, I don't have an exact budget for what this would cost, but I'm quite sure it's very modest compared to the potential harm. The World Bank estimates that if we have a worldwide flu epidemic, global wealth will go down by over $3 trillion. And we'd have millions and millions of deaths.
And that's what this is, a flu-like virus.
These investments offer significant benefits beyond just being ready for the epidemic. The primary health care, the R&D, those things would reduce global health equity and make the world more just as well as more safe. So I think this should absolutely be a priority. There's no need to panic. We don't have to hoard cans of spaghetti or go down into the basement. But we need to get going because time is not on our side. In fact, if there's one positive thing that can come out of the Ebola epidemic, it's that it can serve as an early warning, a wake-up call to get ready. If we start now, we can be ready for the next epidemic. Thank you.
Which I think we can all agree that that didn't happen. Everything that is happening today is reactionary and is not necessarily proactive. He's not on YT. I'll get back. He's not on YT. I'll get back. Well, I believe that's a link to his channel because that's the one that he emailed me. So that should be it. Let's see. Cards. Wait, where am I? Where am I? I'm lost. Next, we are going to look at a really good story. And then some really good news after that from one of my subscribers and one of everyone's friend, not my real name, Amy. So we'll go over that as well. I'm going to see if she actually wants to join me to talk about it, just in case. Because she can tell the story. It's her story. But I have the article that she sent. Oh, that's a bummer. Okay, just a second. Okay, so this one that I'm going to pull up, new window. Open. Nope. I need downloads. Yes. Is that it? I don't know if that's it or not. It might be. Let me check. Yep, this is it. Okay, good. Oh no. There we go. I don't know if you guys remember, but a couple weeks ago, no, a few days ago, I didn't have control in my media player in Google Chrome. It was really weird. So now this, hold on, let me get to it. There we go. Share screen. This is a really good story. 3D ultrasound allows blind mother to see her unborn child. This is a really good story.
A visually impaired pregnant woman sees her baby for the first time thanks to 3D printing. Huggies Brazil used an ultrasound exam to print the face and hands of the woman's unborn son in a tangible form. The expectant mom has been blind since she was in her teens and has been longing to hold her child.
The 3D print says in Braille, every mom deserves to embrace each moment. The clip.
That's a lot of Braille, by the way. Just saying. Now, I got an article that I had someone read for me. So let me pull that up. I believe it's this one. L.
Get a first glimpse of their unborn child through an ultrasound months before the baby actually.
Let's restart it.
These days, most expectant parents take for granted that they'll get a first glimpse of their unborn child through an ultrasound months before the baby actually arrives. For many moms-to-be, it has become a cherished part of the bonding process. But mothers who are visually impaired haven't been able to share the experience until now. A video posted on YouTube by the Brazilian branch of the Huggies diaper company shows the emotional moment when a blind woman got to see her unborn son for the very first time, thanks to 3D printing technology. 30-year-old Tatiana Guerra lost her sight at the age of 17. In the video, she arrives for an ultrasound during her 20th week of pregnancy. At first, the doctor describes what he sees. Then a 3D printer converts the ultrasound image into a relief sculpture of the baby's face, and Tatiana dissolves into tears as her fingers trace the features of the son that she plans to name Murillo. Ultrasound machines that produce these high-quality, three-dimensional images are becoming increasingly popular. Doctors say they are safe, although the FDA has warned against using them for non-medical purposes, just to create keepsake pictures of unborn babies.
Isn't that cool? I think that is so cool. And who would have thought that? That's just like, that should have been a duh thing. 3D printers, imagine all the stuff that you can actually do with that. Let's get your guys' opinions. Close that one. All right. Hit me up in the chat. Let me know what you all think. Text there we go. Hey, Dean. Welcome. Diglett, Kunosatatu. You probably missed one of the best stories. Coming up next is going to be Not My Real Name's personal story that she... Well, I asked for her permission to share this because it's been very stressful for her, and she's got some good news. So let me pull up that article. Now, unfortunately, I don't have it recorded. But Mirage News. Oh, so this is when Not My Real Name was a teenager. That I did not know. Okay, new window. There we go. Finally loads. Okay, let me share the screen so you guys can see it. For those of you that can see. Yeah, isn't that really cool? 18. Who would have thought? To be able to see, obviously with touch, your unborn child. That'd just be awesome. I just like, it's almost mind-blowing. There we go. Share screen. Chrome tab. Police charge man over historical sexual assault of teenager in Bathurst area. You might also like, nope. Oh no. There we go. So this all started from a murder investigation. And this is the part where it talks about March 10th, 2020, a 43-year-old was arrested. In the mid-90s. Following extensive... Wait, 43. So in the mid-90s, that would have made him 20-ish. Anyway, he was subsequently charged with multiple counts of sexual intercourse without consent. He was refused bail. So there's still a $1 million reward for the information leading to the arrest of the person responsible for missing or abducting and murder of Jessica Small. Anyone has information? Link here. I will put this link. So anyway, this is the guy that I don't know the full story, so I'm not gonna put words in not my real name's mouth, but this is the dude that somehow assaulted her. So that's why this is really good news, because now he is put away. Text fields, paste. And there is that link if you guys want to read it yourself. That is a great story. There's my link. Whoops. Really, Periscope? Come on. The post obviously came from my account, and it says it's spam. Come on. Wait, another error occurred. So I don't know which one that went to. Hopefully one of them went. I have no idea. So if you guys can actually see the link in the chat, let me know, please. Much appreciated. I got 2 errors, 1 whoops. So, yeah. Standing. Let me know when you get a hold of your contact. It'd be great to have that information. So yeah, that's all I have for you all tonight here. Navigate to what? What just happened? Oh, shoot. Get rid of that. Yeah, so in the chat below, you'll find link to Mr. Frosty's channel where I was a guest for his Doomsday spread. I love those videos. Those are so fun. So fun to do. So go there, give him some love, and subscribe to that channel. Also, the Will2Win. You all know Jason, aka Independently Blind. That link is also in the chat below. We watched about 15 minutes of his video talking Raider Talk, Raider Nation in Vegas. His channel name is actually now Night Live, I want to say, or Live Night. I can't remember which one it is. You'll have to just click on the link and find it. Also, we covered the 3D printing for a blind mother so she could actually see her baby's sonogram. I think that is so... I'm still kind of in shock about that. That's just really cool. And I've been sitting on this story for several days now waiting to do it. And so I've read it. I've heard the story. Saw the video. And it's still like, wow, that is so cool that they would do that. I was really happy when I saw that. Come on. There we go. My new track for this evening. I redid it so it sounds much better. My going away music, right? If you guys have any topics you want to see me cover in the future, go ahead and put those in the chat, or you can email me, whistler@theoryofablindman.com, and on the ticker below you'll see the link to my merch shop. Got some really cool new stuff in lately. theoryofablindman.com/shop is where you can get it. Don't forget to leave a like or even a dislike, because either way it goes positive for the algorithm. And what else do I have to say? Like, don't forget to share. That would be cool. Sharing is caring, right? Alright, until next time, everybody. Thanks for watching. Much love. Until next time. Keep it blind. Well, that's good, Adine. I'm glad. Well, I'm not glad that it brought tears to your eyes, but you know what I'm saying. Thanks for coming. It's much appreciated.
3D printing. Huggies Brazil used an ultrasound exam to print the face and hands of the woman's unborn son in a tangible form. The expectant mom has been blind since she was in her teens and has been longing to hold her child.
The 3D print says in Braille, every mom deserves to embrace each moment. The clip is from a larger documentary called Meeting Murillo.